Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Legacy Builders series. I am your host, Ace Rando. Thank you guys for tuning in. As you come in and watch the broadcast, I want you to share with your followers. We have some a great guest that's going to be on with us tonight. But before we get started, I want to kind of come with an inspirational thought. I know that we're dealing with pandemics, and we're doing, where a lot of people are being fearful of COVID or what have you. But I believe that this is a very pivotal moment in time, that this is the place of building your vision and building what it is that you want to do and accomplish in life in whatever capacity that is. You know, if a man lacks a vision, they perish. And so this is the place that you should be able to gain vision. But while you're gaining vision and while you're writing your vision, I want to challenge you to start making moves into the thing that you want to accomplish. I want you to start making moves into that. And nothing beats a failure but a try. So why don't you go after it and begin to go after the thing that you desire, go after the connections that you're looking for, the lending that you're looking for, the land that you're looking for, go after it. And because of what's going on in the world right now, I guarantee you a lot more yeses is happening more than no's. And so I want you to be encouraged to go after what it is that you want to do in life. Don't allow nothing to stop you. You know, I put up a post a little while ago that was talking about breaking through barriers, and how there was a brick wall that separated this road from an individual traveling on his journey. And so they end up setting up camp. They end up staring at the wall. They got spiritual for a moment and decree and declare for it to come down in Jesus' name and all that great stuff. But then it came to a point in time when they started to size up its opponent. And they started to size up the wall and started looking at the wall and looking at its design and its infrastructure and how it's created. And then they found out that there's some little divots and grooves and spaces in the wall that they were able to kind of pick at. And it reminds me of the story of the women of Brewster Place, that there was a wall that was separating their space in their area, and they began to rip and pull at the bricks and begin to carve out and begin to thrust their bodies up against against the barrier that was trying to separate them from getting over to the other side. And I want you to be just that determined, that not allow anything to stop you from doing what it is that you want to do in life. Go after it. If you got to rip it down by your bare hands, if you got to thrust through it like the Incredible Hulk, if you got to leap over walls and jump through troops, do whatever is required and what's necessary to allow you to get to your place of destiny. Don't allow no naysayers, don't allow your family, don't allow your finances, don't allow your credit to stop you. Because I guarantee you, where there is many no's, there is going to be someone that's going to say yes. There's going to be someone that's going to believe in your dream and is going to believe in your vision. So don't allow any barriers to stop you. Don't allow any snares and any traps to stop you. Just to take it spiritual for a moment, he makes your pathway straight. He goes before you to make the pathway clear for you so that you know which way to take. And so don't be scared. Don't be fearful. Go after it. Go after it. So I just want to encourage you with that, you all that are legacy builders and you are aspiring to be legacy builders, to not allow obstacles and barriers to get into your way to stop you from getting where you need to be. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a phenomenal guest on with me tonight. We gotta go way back. I mean, way back. We have been friends for many, as the elderly people will say, many moons. And we kind of go back to like elementary school, middle school, through high school, and in those days. And so we'll kind of get into that story a little bit in just a moment. But I want to bring them up, and I'm going to bring them up in just a moment. But let me go ahead and introduce our guests. Stay tuned.
Legacy builder, Dr. Gary D. Bailey, CEO and Managing Partner of Integrity Asset Management in Atlanta, Georgia. Stay tuned as we experience the journey of how Dr. Bailey built his legacy.
Let's welcome Dr. Gary Bailey to the show. If you are watching online, go ahead and give some applauses, give some waves, especially if you know him. I'm looking at your comments, you guys, and just say hey as you come on in the room. Good evening, my brother. Good to have you on. I'm so glad to see your face, sir.
Right. This is exciting. I'm glad we can reconnect after all these years.
All these years. I tell you guys, we go way back.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He is, as you heard in the introduction, he is an entrepreneur. As a brother of his, I am godly proud of what he is accomplishing. And so I want to say that to you as my brother, that I'm really proud of you as far as you've come and what you're doing in the world. Just as a quick introduction to him, how we know each other. We go back, as I said, back to elementary school. Our mothers used to sing together with this little community choir. And then eventually we end up going to the same church. And eventually we end up joining. And we just, was very, very closely connected for a long period of time. Right. And we did a lot of music together. And, he was the musician at the church. I was one of the choir directors in the choir. And we just, grew up, and went to the same high school. And even I remember, and I know you remember this, we started a choir together back years ago. It was me, you, and Andrea Johnson. I never forget it. Yes, yes. And we came out the gate. Yes, absolutely. And came out the gate strong. I mean, we probably had like 100 members day one, because everybody that went to the high school went to somebody's church in the city. So it was phenomenal. So we go way back, but we're not going to take up too much time to talk about our past history. But I want him to kind of go on and kind of explain his history and building legacy. So with that being said, let's kind of start a little bit with introducing yourself a little bit and kind of tell people, where you're from and, pretty much a little bit of your upbringing.
Okay. Again, I'm Gary Bailey, born in Arkansas, but raised in Elgin, Illinois.
Yes.
My upbringing, like I said, we grew up at the same church under great leadership, Pastor James Lewis Marks. And I think even to this day, I think that's what helped me build the legacy. And even the company I have is because of the things that he has taught me. I think me and Aaron was talking the other day, and one of the things, I was one of those teenagers that stayed up under him working on houses and things like that. And so a lot of what he taught me and what he has shown me as a young man has cultivated me to be the man that I am today.
Yes. Wow. Yes, my former pastor, he had a phenomenal work ethic. If he saw you coming, he was pulling you to work. And I was ducking and dodging him as a kid. We was just talking about this the other night. Right. We literally saw him build our church with his bare hands. And to see, that he has birth that same or reproduce that same work ethic into a lot of the young people that was within the church that have used that still to this day as a part of their careers is really phenomenal. So we give honor to Elder James Lewis Marks of Bethesda, a former pastor of Bethesda Church of God in Christ. We are a product of the legacy that you built, and so we honor you today for that.
Yes, great man.
Indeed, indeed, and still kicking and going strong. And his 80th birthday is coming up soon, y'all. So this man is still doing amazing things. Exactly. Oh, just passed 80th birthday. So, that goes to show that it doesn't matter how old that you are, you can still build and create legacy, and your legacy still live for you even in your older age. So that's amazing. So, one of the things that I've noticed that I've seen about you, just even as we were growing up, is that you were always progressive in some kind of way. You was either trying to do something with music, or you I remember when you first got your brand new Ford Focus. I was hating on you back in the day. And he was always progressive. He either found a job or a career path that was going to get him what he needed or what have you. What inspired that? I mean, I know we came from some very humble beginnings, so let's go talk about your humble beginnings a little bit, and then what inspired you to be more progressive, to go after some things that maybe you never even seen in your growing up in your history.
It was watching my mom. My mother, she raised 5 boys, and then she took other boys into the home, my brother Tony.
Right.
And watching my mom work so hard to try to provide for us. I mean, that woman, I think she is the strongest woman that I know. Just watching her just work so hard, and I didn't want to be such a burden on her. And I know when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm leaving home and I'm never coming back. But it wasn't the fact that I didn't want to follow her rules. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to do my own thing. And even through doing those things, there were times where I lost the place, didn't have a place to stay, but I never went back home. I kept pursuing, trying to find something, because I didn't want to go back home. I didn't want to be a burden on my mother. So that just taught me to just keep driving, keep going, because I've always had that entrepreneur spirit in me. I think I was like 15, and Aaron, you might remember, I used to wash all these cars at my mom's house.
Right.
And that was my little hustle. And then, Pastor Marks got me a job at the Boys and Girls Club at the age of 14 years old. So I thought I was doing something. I had a little change coming every couple of weeks, and, I thought I was the king of the jungle then. But it just pushed me to keep doing more. And then, of course, my music career, I just didn't settle just to be a mediocre organist. I wanted to be one of the best. And so I would sit up under great musicians like Stan Pennick, Steve Goldsmith, Aaron Williams, and just watch those guys play. And I wanted to be like the best I could be on the organ. We used to go to concerts and midnight musicals and stuff like that. And
all the time.
And so I've always had this drive to want more, want better, and never settle for less.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, that was something that we were very driven in our music in that regard. He wanted to be connected to the best when it came down to playing. I wanted to be connected to the best when it came down to, singers and vocalists and all that. And so it's just interesting that how our paths end up connecting and end up flowing together when we were doing some things together. So it's amazing. Now, after our high school years, most of your adult life is what I have not experienced, because, we ended up, going to different parts of the world and moving to different ministries, and just not being as connected as we was, because God just was taking us into two different paths. So, coming out of high school, going into your careers, I know you ended up being married and moving to Atlanta at one particular point. Kind of give us a little bit of your history and how you progressed there, and how you were building legacy from that standpoint.
During that period of my life, I mean, I was still teaching music, but during that period, I was young and stubborn. I remember that even after high school, I got into some trouble, and this is my testimony. I always, I've never been ashamed to share. I got in some trouble because I was carrying a gun and got arrested and had to spend time in jail. But that didn't even click in my head to try to do better. So I still wanted to pursue music. So I ended up coming to Atlanta. I started teaching. I think the first job was at Journey Performing Arts Center. I was teaching music there. But I still didn't have any drive. I was still kind of stagnant in my life. It wasn't until I moved to California is when I got into real estate. I kind of walked away from teaching. I walked away from music a little bit, and I got into the real estate field. Once I got into there, I think the money is what got me. I was like, whoa, the first deal, I made in one deal what my entire paycheck was. So it was like a shock. And that right there kind of gave me the drive to start doing more. I was able to buy my first car. I'll never forget. It was the Lexus LS460. And I went to the car lot, and the guy said, well, which car do you want? I said, I want that black LS460. And he was like, well, that's a $40,000 car. I said, okay. And I paid cash for that car. And that was one of the greatest feelings that I had, was being able to work hard and be able to pay cash for something. And then shortly after that, I went and got me a pickup truck because I wanted a pickup truck. That little country boy in me, I had to get me a pickup truck. Yeah. But I was able to, and that kept me going. But I didn't learn how to manage money. And I'll never forget, because I didn't learn how to manage money and I didn't understand about paying my taxes off of the money that I made. I ended up losing. I had about $250,000 in my bank account. And I went to the gas pump and I stuck the card in, and the card kept saying decline. I'm like, wow, I know I got some money in the bank. And I stuck it in again and it said decline. So I went into the gas station and they said, your car is declining. And I called the bank and didn't even realize the IRS had seized my accounts. And it was because I didn't pay any taxes. And at that point, that's when I learned that, a formal education is nothing if you don't have a financial education. And I started educating myself on taxes, on ways, like running the properties through a revocable living trust, different things like that. And, I just started educating myself because I wanted to be better. I wanted to do better. And that's when my career started to excel into real estate, is when I started learning about how to manage money. An older white gentleman told me one day in California, he said, Gary, if you chase your career, money will come. But if you chase money, it will always run from you. That stuck with me every day, is because I was so much running after money, it seemed like it was just running from me, and I'm just running. But when I started having a love for real estate, having a love to help people get into their homes, I started noticing that money was coming. And then when I left California, I ended up moving to Florida to be with my mother, which is where I met my wife. I was down there. It was a mother weekend. And I ended up meeting my wife down there. And so I got back into teaching. And then I kind of got back into the real estate market, which was property management. And I started at this company. It was one of the worst projects in Pensacola, Florida. It was known as TA. So I went there, and my mom and my wife, they did not want me working at this complex because it was known for drugs, shootings, this, that, and the other. But I said, you know what? I can change these people's lives. And Aaron, I remember I started working there. They offered me a salary of $40,000 a year. And I took it. But 30 days later, it got bumped to 55 because they saw how progressive I was and how I was making an influence in that community. And then a few months after that, it got bumped to $65,000 a year. And I remember my mom and my wife said, I ain't never in my life seen somebody get that many raises with those significant
You're
increases
right.
time. And it was because
Yes.
I have a passion for what I do. I love people, and I've always been a people person.
Yes.
But when it came to real estate, it made me happy to be able to pass keys on to a mother that had 3 children, single mother. She was living in her car and being able to provide her an apartment that she could raise her children. But not only that, but not just give her an apartment, but also give her tools to apply to her life, as far as how to raise your children, how to keep your apartment clean.
Right.
My mom was at my office one day and one girl came in with a stinking attitude. And I said, look, get out of my office, go back outside, regroup, and then you come back in my office and we can talk. Because I wanted our people, African Americans, to know you don't have to yell, cuss, act a fool in order to get your point across. You can come in here, act like you got business. Don't walk in my office with no spaghetti straps on. Don't walk in my office with no bra on, because I'm going to send you back out. I'm not going to do business with you because I want you to be business minded. And so those were things that people started appreciating, which just kind of like backed my love for real estate, backed my love for helping people. And then I've learned that was my ministry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. It's so interesting, and I'm going to go back a little bit because, we both come from music backgrounds, and how there was a transition to, another career or another purpose or what have you. And I know we both can attest to this, that when people are so familiar with you, for where you come from, they want you to stay and what's familiar or what have you. And now you see the difference from transitioning from music to what you're doing now. When was the epiphany that clicked, that you realized that music was no longer the path of career, that you were going off into something else? When did it change for you? And when did you feel like the passion for it kind of shifted to something else?
It changed for me in California. I started pastoring. And once I started pastoring, that passion to play the organ kind of left. But I still had a love for music. I wanted to do it on my own terms, because growing up, It was, how can I say this? There was a time I needed to play because I needed the money. But when I started in a career, I didn't really need it as much. So it became a hobby. It switched from a full-time job to a hobby. And so when I left California and went to Florida, I played the organ when I wanted to play, came to Atlanta, and I told people I was retired. I just didn't want to play and be committed to the organ, because I remember growing up, I was at church Monday through Sunday, all day, every day, playing for this revival, that revival, this district meeting, that district meeting, this state convocation, that state convocation, and I became burnt out. So at first I was like, I'm retiring, and people would come to me and say, well, you can't retire with the gift God gave you. I said, well, I don't. I can retire because I started playing when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. I'm 39 now. There's other young musicians coming along. I want them to do it. I'll teach them every chord I know. I'm tired. I'm retired, and I'm tired.
Indeed. Absolutely. I get the same thing. I get people that say, how can you retire from a gift that God gives you? And what people, especially when they're limited in their process of thinking, and they're so religious minded, they think that when you get into one thing, that is the it all and be all, and that there is no room to grow and to advance. And so some of you all that are listening in that are familiar with Dr. Bailey from our history growing up as children, that some of you all probably didn't even know that he became a pastor, that he was pastoring a church for a number of years, and then and how he's grown on. And so this is kind of why I'm having him to share his story, because I want to have you all to be inspired by the fact that just because you started at one level doesn't mean that you have to stay there for the rest of your life. In fact, it says something about you that if you are still at the same level that you've been in for 15, 10, 25 years, 50 years, 65, and the years goes on, and you have not grown and advanced, that says something more so about you than it is about God or or whatever. You know, there has to be some sort of drive and some sort of determination or a shift in passions that's going to help determine. And so these people that are coming on sharing their story should be able to inspire you to say, you know, there's more to life than just sitting on a keyboard or sitting on an organ or just doing what you've been doing for years. Or in you're 65, you want to go to medical school. If that's what you want to do, go after it. That's and right. You to be encouraged to go after it. So I love to hear the shift and change and how you've grown and evolved. You went from being a musician to being a pastor, and then growing in entrepreneurship to doing real estate, to now you're in a place in Atlanta and you're doing integrity asset management. So tell us a little bit about integrity asset management, and after we get into that, I'm going to have you to explain how you came into that.
Okay. Integrity Asset Management is a real estate and investment company. What we do is we teach people how to manage their assets, whether it's, real estate, stocks, life insurance. We pretty much set a platform up where we can come in, we can walk you through the step-by-steps, but also educate you at the same time. So that's basically what Integrity Asset Management is about. I know we're going to go into some details shortly, and I know my team is coming on in a couple of days. So I don't want to put too much out there because I want to save some of them nuggets for another day too.
Indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us how you got started into it. What was the drive behind it, or what inspired you to start this company? Because you are the CEO and the managing president of this company. So what's got you started into doing this?
I was working for a company here, and the Lord always kept pushing me, saying, "You are an entrepreneur," but I was content with a 90-something thousand a year salary and my bonuses. I became content with that. But he kept trying to push me into an area of being an owner. And what happened was I was with the company and they fired me. And
wow.
I was mad. When I got to this company, they gave me the worst portfolio known to man. And what happened is I went in there, and within 3 months, all of the property started exceeding NOI between 6 and 7%. And they started capitalizing and making money. But then also I was able to control the expenses at about 45%. So what I did with this portfolio is it went from being in the red to in the black. And actually one of the properties that was in my portfolio, it was so bad. When I started, it started excelling and was like 66% exceeding NOI. That property was cash flowing, where they got to the point they said, you know what, we're going to sell this property. And so I was there saying, now, wait a minute, we got a problem. I am making these folks millions of dollars. They're using my knowledge, using my skills, using the documents that I create, using the expertise that I have. I can do this on my own. And the Lord's like, I've been telling you to do that anyway, man. And so I was fearful because I was like, well, I really don't have a team. But my team was right there with me. Most of my executive team, we have worked together in some capacity over the past 7-8 years.
Wow.
For instance, me and Kamisha worked together doing real estate in California, and Jerry and Tamika, me and Jerry worked together here in Atlanta, and Tamika worked together here in Atlanta. And the Lord just started showing me them and how to place them. And each one of us bring a different skill to the table to take the company to the next level. So that's how the birth of Integrity became.
Absolutely. That is amazing. So, it's interesting how, how God brings connections with people from other places that you have no clue that they're going to be an asset to your future. that they are going to contribute to what it is that you're going to be doing in life. And it's really inspiring to see what it is that you're doing and how you are growing and advancing in your field that you're in. So definitely keep growing in that. We're going to take a quick pause for a moment. We got to pay our bills. We do have a sponsor that is a sponsor of the show. It looks like we are a little bit frozen. I do apologize, you guys, but we're going to still keep moving forward. All right, looks like it's kicking back up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and show our advertisers that's coming on to advertise their product and service, because they're helping us pay the bills. So stay tuned to to this brief announcement.
Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Introducing Legacy Brand Consultants. Identifying the brand within. We offer vision planning assistance, strategies for increasing revenue, offer staff vision training, along with senior leader seminars. We conduct business development conferences, church expansion strategies. Also, business expansion strategies. We offer plans on increasing foot traffic with a rapid rate for success. Phase 1, vision creation. Phase 2, strategic outline. Phase 3, branding strategy. Phase 4, growth strategy. Phase 5, expansion planning. And Phase 6, the exit strategy. Schedule your consultation by calling 773-599-9388. Office hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let us help you identify the brand within.
Thank you, Legacy Brand Consultants, for that advertisement. If you are interested in getting any type of assistance on how to build your brand, Legacy Brand Consultants can be reached at 773-599-9388, and they will help you in the process of your journey in building legacy. So going back into our discussion with Dr. Gary Bailey, if you are just coming on to the live, you have missed a little bit of history of Dr. Gary Bailey, but don't worry, you can go back and watch the replay. It is available on Facebook and on YouTube. Excuse me. That you can be able to hear his story. So for those of you guys that are coming on, we have actually just a quick, for those that are watching, Prophetess Regina Randall sends her love, her love. So does Bishop Kendrick Scales.
How y'all doing?
As well as Greg Womack is watching as well. Cornelius says, "What's up, family?" So we have a plethora of people that know Dr. Gary Bailey that's chiming in and hearing his success story, because it is a testament to his success. Excuse me. So, so we kind of got into the history of you building and creating legacy with Integrity Asset Management and what you're doing with that. Now, I don't want you to be worried about sharing too much of what's going to go on tomorrow, because you got a whole hour with your team, and we're going to be focusing specifically on what Integrity Asset Management does, even more in depth. But so you don't have to worry about sharing too much. And so I am going to ask you some more questions in that regard. But I know your other team has more to contribute to what that does. So kind of break down the concepts of on the real estate side of what you do with Integrity Asset Management, and then what you do on the investment in, as far as how investors are involved, or how people can invest in properties. Just kind of give us a little bit more understanding of how your company works. Just in the event if anybody is looking for your services, they'll know a little bit more what you all have to offer.
Gotcha. So what we do is we try to find investment properties, not only for our investors, but also for our company. Great example is last week I was in Baltimore, Maryland. Me and my team, we went up to look at some properties, but if everybody remembers, Baltimore is a place that is very desolate. They have lost so much. And so when we went there, we noticed that there were probably about 100,000 vacant properties. And of course, I'm just one of the people. I get out there and I talk to the residents that live in the neighborhood. And I started asking them, kind of what happened. And these properties have been sitting vacant for years and years. I'm thinking, one lady said 30 years. And so what we're doing is we're gathering a group of investors so we can buy blocks. My team is looking to purchase 14 blocks plus in Baltimore, Maryland, so we can help revitalize that neighborhood. Because what's happening in a lot of major cities is that we have people of a lot of other races that come in to regentrify the neighborhoods. But our job with integrity is not only do we want to provide you with housing, we want to provide you with tools so you're able to maintain. So like Baltimore, an example, we know that we're not just going to go purchase property, but they need some job skills. We need to set aside some of the nonprofits that me and the team have to go in there to assist them with things like food banks or things with job training. Is so many different areas. Like they don't even have grocery stores. We want to make sure that we can purchase a franchise of a grocery store to put in the middle. So what we do in my area is the development side. I look at those areas, like for instance, those 14 blocks, and I kind of formulate in my mind a vision. Do I want to see multifamily? Do I want to see single family, senior housing? What is it that we want to see in this particular neighborhood? Because also you got to take into consideration, is it a renter's market? Is it a buyer's market? One of the things about Baltimore, it's a renter's market. So I wouldn't encourage any of my investors to go in there and do a flip. You're not going to make any money on a flip because no one has a job to buy. But it's a renter's market because the housing authority has 60,000 people on their wait list. So what we want to do is we want to do a buy and hold. We want to go in there, purchase the properties, and get the renters in there. But what I tell the investors, we sit on the properties for 5 to 10 years, but we educate the resident inside the property about home ownership. And then we can be able to sell that property back to the resident. Guess what? We just created cash flow and we just multiplied our profit because we went from renting the property, being able to cash flow after 3 years, and then being able to sell the property and at an increased value than what we purchased it for. So our main objective is really educating our investors on smart investments, smart real estate investments. On the stock side, it's really about educating yourself. I made a post probably a month ago, and I said, we spend a lot of time shopping for clothes, but we don't take time to look at the stocks that we shop for. And what made me talk about that is, let me tell you, I was in the car and I almost wrecked my truck. This lady was on there and said, I'm investing in Hennessy and Louis Vuitton. And the person said, she said, because that's what Black people like.
This is true.
And so I made a post. I said, that is not why we invest. What is Louis Vuitton? What does Hennessy financials look like? Because that's how you're going to gain your money. And plus, that's not popular now. We in a pandemic. Stores are open. Some are closed. I mean, we live in Atlanta. Keisha Bottoms is trying to shut it back down again. So the shopping is not the way it used to be, but the 5G technology, that's starting to take over. So I was encouraging people, do your research, invest in 5G because the 5G wave is starting to increase. And I jumped in maybe a month ago and I'm already starting to see profits on my stock investments just off of 5G. Great thing. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, I invested in Netflix. Netflix was at I think it was like $100 and something a share. And I looked at it, and I think it was late May. Netflix jumped up to $456 a share, and I sold it. Now I'm a little mad at myself now because Netflix just went up to $526 a share today. But what I did is I sold it and I bought shares in something else. I bought it in a company called NVIDIA. NVIDIA now was, they were at $100 and something a share at the time. Now they're at $600 and something a share. Tesla is now up to $1,200 a share when it was only $400 a share at the beginning of the pandemic. It was just about making smart, strategic moves in order to increase the money. So that's what I started doing on the investment side. Now, Jerry is the king of it. That's what he does for a living, which is why he's my CFO, because that man knows money. But one of the things he always tell me, he said, Gary, you also want to make sure that you buy stocks that have a return. So I started looking at stocks that are paying me a dividend each quarter. And boy, I love when I see that little notification come up on my phone. NVIDIA just paid you, blah, blah, blah. This one just paid you, blah, blah, blah. And that's how you make money in your sleep.
Indeed. That's what I'm talking about. And that's, some of us, especially when we're religious or, even, sad to say it, our skin color, people do not think progressively like this. They think about the hustle. They think about, what I can do to survive, or what can I do to get those next red bottoms or that new Louis Vuitton or that Hennessy, versus what can I do to build something that's going to have some longevity, that is going to bring a return on my investment, that is going to make me money while I sleep. And then why Fortune 500s are so successful. This is why people that are in Forbes magazine are so successful, because they are doing these things, and they to see that you are implementing those things, even in your process of building legacy, is amazing, because, even though you're not involved in the day-to-day operations of that business, your shares that you purchase from them helps them in their operation. And so I'm glad you shared that, is because people that are interested in stocks and getting into money markets and getting into real estate and things of that sort, this is why I'm bringing people on this show, because it's going to give people a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of resources on being able to do that. So maybe they might not be living in Atlanta. Maybe they could be able to hire your company for consulting services and to say, well, could you point me in the right direction? Could you show me which way to go?
Integrity is a global company. We go anywhere. We fly anywhere. We work in any state. I'm not scared of any markets, especially when it comes down to educating people. Great example, as an African-American person, we tend to buy stuff, but we buy stuff that have no value. We buy stuff that we can't even capitalize on. I got outside now. I have my GMC Yukon Denali. I bought that thing back. Oh God, I done had that truck forever. And don't get me wrong, I used to love a new car. I used to love that, but that truck is paid off. Right. It's a time now that I say, what should I do with this money? For instance, during this pandemic, when Trump and them sent out that little $1,200, me and my wife said, okay, so what we finna invest in with that money? I could have did like everybody else and went and stood in line and got me some new Jordans, or went on Amazon and had packages delivered every day. But that wasn't my goal. Right. That's not an asset. Those things come and go. People say, oh, you always got a new suit. Well, really, I'm going to tell y'all now, since we on live, some of my suits are old. I just take care of them and send them to the cleaners.
Indeed.
I don't want to buy this stuff, because if it's not going to make me any money, what is the point of me having it? So I look at things now. What is it going to create? Because I'm getting older and I have a son and I have 2 daughters. What am I leaving behind for them? I'm trying to teach them about legacy. I'm trying to teach them about saving money. My kids, they talk about me. They say, Dad, you cheat. Good. Because I'm going to teach them. I'm not cheap per se. I'm very frugal on what I spend my money on. I don't want to.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. That is definitely a trait you got from Elder James Lewis Marks, because that man will have the same suits for 15, 20 years. Them suits older than both of us put together. You ain't right. But he knows how to spend money, and that's an impartation. So I just wanted to add that insert. But go ahead and continue.
But even just teaching kids, we can save more money by going grocery shopping and cooking every day. And I'm grateful. My kids, I mean, I spoil them, but they're not spoiled to the point where they're careless. Even teaching my oldest daughter at the beginning of the pandemic, because we were homeschooling her, I was teaching her how to invest in stocks, you know, showing her the different things to look at, you know. So I said, Cece, what do you want to do? She said, well, I want to buy some stock in Delta. So I asked her, I said, why do you want to buy stock in Delta? She said, well, it's low now and it's going to go back up because people are going to start back flying. I said, okay, good idea. So I bought her a share of that in Delta. I sold it, but you know, I bought her a share in Delta, but she's starting to get the concept of it. And that's the thing. We have to teach our children young, because I notice the Caucasian people, they teach their children.
Right.
African Americans, we only teach what we know, or we teach a fable. I wanted to make sure I broke that cycle and started educating myself, so I'd be able to teach my children how to manage their money. How, like right now, I have a life insurance policy, a universal life insurance policy on me, my wife, and all three of my children. One thing they don't, when they get older, they're going to be able to pull money, the annuities out of that, and invest it into something.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, there can be millionaires and say, you know what, I don't need that insurance policy because I got $4 million sitting in my bank account. I can pay for my own.
Yes.
You know, so those are the things that I'm trying to teach my children while they're young, so they don't grow up to be educated dummies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting how, you know, and I can say it, and this is not a dishonor to our parents at all, but we did not come from this mindset. We didn't come from a mindset of, you know, entrepreneurship, or, you know, fully, you know, to a degree, but not fully. We didn't come from learning how to invest in stocks and then learning how to invest into properties. It was just not something that we come from. And I can attest to that because, you know, we partially grew up together. So that's not where we came from. But there came a point in time in our lives that an awareness came, that just as you mentioned, that you want to leave an inheritance for your children's children. But here's the thing that I realized about inheritance is beyond just your children's children.
That's right.
When you're leaving a legacy behind, you are creating, legacy for other people to be able to attach itself to build their careers after. For an example, you have an executive team. If you did not move forward on establishing integrity asset management, then those individuals would have still been stuck in the career path that they're in. And then people that's going to come alongside of this when your children take over the company, and they're going to build their whole careers. They're going to go to school and they're going to build their whole careers after what you built. And that's what we don't realize, that when we get a vision, it's way bigger than us. Yeah. It is way bigger than us.
You know, the scripture says, write the vision and make it plain. So when you see it, you run to it. I'm a firm believer. I keep a note. Me and my wife probably got about 30 notebooks around this house. I write down details about where I want to see my company go. And then we have a vision board. What we fail to do a lot is we forget to write down our vision and then put it on paper, put it on a vision board so you can see it. And on my vision board, there's a picture of me and my wife, and it says at the top, the billionaire man. I promise myself I'm going to be a billionaire. I don't want billions, I want billions. But okay, what do I have to do to get to those billions? Now, here is where
that's it right there.
I have an issue with how some churches teach. You cannot be lazy. You have to work. You have to educate yourself in between in order to get to those billions. But even with that, you got to make sure that what you're building leaves a legacy. Like, for instance, when I die and leave here, it's going to say Gary Bailey, born 1981 dash, whatever that date is. What happened in the dash? What legacy did you leave in the dash? And that's what people forget. We put here on this earth to leave a legacy behind, not just for our kids, but like you said, for other generations, where people can drive down the street and be like, man, I heard so much about this Dr. Gary Bailey and the properties that he built, you know, and the things that he did for people. And then people start picking up that dream. That's why I have the team that I have working for me today, because they have the same mindset as I do. They have the same passion as I do. One of them said one day, if you can't think like Gary, then you don't need to be here.
Wow.
That was deep, because what they were telling me is that we see the vision, we're walking with the vision, and we're going to make sure that the vision is going through. And if you can't be a part of the vision, you got to go bye-bye.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then God started shelling some things and people, you know, out of my life that weren't helping me to get the vision to where it needed to go. One of the hardest things is that, you know, as Black people, we need to be delivered from people. We feel like we got to have certain people around us in order to get to the next level. And I'm here to tell you that's always not the case. You need to make sure you surround yourself around like-minded people. People that are going to help you push forward to that dream. People that's going to say, you know what, Gary, you tired. Let me hold your hands up so you can keep going. You know what, go home, rest, get a nap in, and we'll keep working it. Those are the people that I want to surround myself with now, because they're helping me push and birth out the vision of Integrity Asset Management.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm telling you, I'm sitting here about ready to hit you through this computer, because even though, funny enough, you guys that are watching the similar path that we are going on in our mindset, it's so similar, even though we haven't been as interconnected for years, and to go through a major detox and remove people out of my life because people were more sucking off of me, but didn't have anything to contribute. They were all, you know, or they didn't understand. I'm explaining where I'm at, and I'm explaining, you know, the processes that I'm dealing with as an entrepreneur and as a forward thinker, as a visionary, and those that lack vision don't understand vision. So they will always come with either something negative or pray against it, or say, well, maybe you need to pray about it, because they don't understand vision. And for years, I prayed, God, connect me to further advanced people that's like-minded or further advanced. And I feel like now this is really the decade that God is really bringing that into flourishing. And so to hear you endure the same thing and know that I went through the exact same thing goes to show that everybody's not meant to go with you to the next part of your journey. They don't have, you know, they don't bring credence to, they don't bring a language to where you're going. And so you have to shed the dead weight sometimes. It doesn't mean that you might not reconnect to them in the future, but you have to shed so that you can connect to people that's going to constantly further push you. I love that. That is so amazing.
Here's another thing. When I had the 3 S's: be still, be silent, be swift.
Wow.
Quit running your mouth about a vision that you have with the wrong people, because they're going to kill it.
Wow.
They are going to be the ones that tear down your vision. So you need to be silent and then be still, stay in the seatbelt so you can go through what you need to get through. Because if you got a seatbelt on, no matter what type of car accident it is, that seatbelt is designed to protect you. Now, be still. Don't get weary. Don't start lagging. You got to be persistent. When this pandemic happened, I was working a full-time job. And in that full-time job, I was overseeing a region of properties in Georgia and Alabama. But then I got laid off. So I said, okay, now I didn't care, because I said, now I got the opportunity to really build my own company. So what I did is I took that time and I started building my website, because I learned something. If you don't have a foundation set, how do you expect anything to stand on it? Your foundation has to be so strong, because see, I don't just see myself going this way. I see myself going this way as well. So in order to go both directions, make sure my foundation covers that circumference to be able to handle the weight that it's about.
Oh my God, man! Look, I gotta pat your forehead because you're preaching a sermon. You are preaching. I tell you, you know what? It's so funny. As a matter of fact, she's coming on to the show in a couple of weeks. Her name is Tara Wilson McQuarrie, and everybody that's listening, pray for her. She's been dealing with some attacks in her body due to COVID, so keep her lifted or what have you. But I had a conversation with her, and I have to pay homage to her for that because she gave me some valuable wisdom. And I told her, I said, you know, I was coming to a point in my journey that I kept hitting not a glass ceiling, a plexiglass ceiling, which is thicker and harder to break through. Yeah. You can see through it. You can see what's on the other side of it, but it is harder to break through. And so I asked her, I said, when you have those moments, what do you do? And this is so funny that you mentioned this. She said, if you can't go up, go out. If you can't break through that, do something else that can help you to break through or to go around it or to do whatever that's going to constantly to cause you to advance instead of being stuck there. And so it's amazing to hear, you know, that you're not allowing anything to stop you. You're not letting people or your past or your history or even lineage or generational, connections to stop, because you have a clear understanding of who you are and where you're headed. That's amazing.
You know, can I add to that little statement there? Even the plexiglass, everybody knows about the 3M bulletproof glass, like that real thick plexiglass.
Absolutely.
But if you got the right artillery, you can bust through it.
Right.
And that's what you have to do. Equip yourself with
absolutely.
That way you can bust through it, because I had to deal with that. I had fear about moving this business to the next level. But where did that fear come from? I was scared of failing. And then I had to tell myself, wait a minute,
right.
Why are you scared to fail if you haven't tried?
Yes.
And then, so I was like, okay, if I fail 10,000 times, guess what? I found 10,000 new different ways to try it again. That's it.
That's it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And that I deal with people with that are governed by fear. They are just so, enamored by fear to the point that it's just like it stops them in everything that they do. And, when I take it to spiritual context, he said, I haven't given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That means he gave you 3 different dimensions that is going to overtake what fear can even do. Yeah. Power in itself is going to supersede fear.
Yep.
Love, even love for him, is going to supersede fear. And a sound mind, having clarity of thought and being able to move forward and knowing that whatever you're trying to accomplish in life is going to succeed, even if it doesn't come in the way that you want it to go. And I think even us as spiritually inclined people, or especially if you're prophetic in nature, we see the end goal, but we don't see the in between. We don't know how to get there. And so that causes fear, that causes trepidation. And it's just really amazing for you to share how this mindset that you have, that you like, I never tried it, so why not go after it? So what was your first situation that birthed you to become a more fearless a fearless person? What was the very first thing that, if you can think of, that started you in your process of being fearless?
When the company that I worked for that fired me had an attorney reach out to me because they assumed that I was using some pictures on my website, which I didn't. And I said to myself, this company been around 26 years and y'all watching me so close because y'all know what I'm capable of. And so at that point, I said, you know what? If this 26-year-old company watching me like that, guess what? I am about to take this thing to a level to supersede anything and everything that they ever had going, because I know I have the capabilities to do it. And that's when that fear left.
Wow. And it's funny how a situation that was stirred up, and that's kind of similar to what happened with me when I started my business. I started the business, but I was working a full-time job, and God told me he was taking me off that job. And I'm like, wait, hold on, God, I ain't ready yet. I ain't got no clientele established and all of that. Right. But he says, my will is inevitable. My will is inevitable, and you're coming off this job one way or another. But as soon as they laid me off the job, at first I had trepidation, but then as I was going home, I felt a burden lift because he told me that I called you to be an employer and not an employee. And so that just settled in me that I knew that there was something purpose for me. And I just started to try things. What have you, even to the point now that people like, you done went to Mexico by yourself for your birthday and you in the middle of the jungle zip lining by yourself. What am I going to be fearful for? Death? We all owe God a death. So if it's going to come now, it's going to come later. It's going to come. And so it's just interesting to hear your fearlessness and how it builds momentum in what you're doing, to the point that you're not afraid to try new things, that you're not afraid to go after it. And even if you fail, just like you said, if I fail 20 times, I know 20 different ways to do it better, to do it differently. I love that. I love that. Look, you right here.
And then it's okay for those of you that have business ideas, if you still have to work. But if you work for a company, what I can tell you is put it in your mind that you have to fire that company after a while so you can hire yourself. Don't be there forever. Stay there, set you a goal and say, you know what? I'm going to give them 2 years of my life, and then I'm going to go hire myself so I can spend the rest of my life financially free. Because that was another thing, just saving money and being able to start my own company and do the things that I needed to do, getting away from needing that income from that 9 to 5. I just realized I'm capped at that income. They ain't gonna give me an increase until December 31st, which is gonna be 3%. It ain't gonna be much. Is that cost of living increase? I'm like, no, I want my income to go from 10,000 this month to 40,000 the following month to 80,000 a month after that to 120,000. I want my stuff to multiply triple fold. And in order to do that, I got to work.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And people don't understand that. They complain about the careers that they're in, but God has given us all a measure of gift and talent. Regardless if you're spiritual or not, you all have gifts and talents, and you should be able to capitalize on the gifts and the talents that you have that should be able to bring you wealth. Right. Now, I know we're coming somewhat closer to the end of the broadcast. So two two last questions before we get ready to close out. Besides integrity asset management, what is on the horizon for you? What are the things that you are legally able to share? Let me just say that without an NDA involved, that you can share that is on the horizon for you, that's already in rotation, so that people can be on the lookout to say, you know what, he's just not only keeping his eggs in one basket, he's actually investing in other things besides what he's doing.
One of the things that's on the horizon is that we're going to be launching here soon an entrepreneur training class that we're going to be able to, through Zoom or even Facebook Live and YouTube, we're going to be able to teach people about how to structure and run their businesses. Because what I've learned is that many people have great business ideas to open a business, but don't know how to run it. They don't know the strategic planning in place. And, with that education background, God has blessed me to be able to teach it to people to where they understand it and they can structure their business. Or, you may have vision for a business and it may not be for you to lead. You could sell your business idea to someone else. So those are some things that we have on the horizon that I can legally share at this point.
Great. That's amazing. That is amazing. Interestingly enough, a lot of people don't know this, that are watching the advertisement through Legacy Brand Consultant is actually one of my entities. And that's kind of like in a similar context of what you're doing is giving people the resources and the tools that they need to be able to build their brands, build their ministries, and to bring them into fruition, or if they're already in existence, on how to grow it and multiply it and to take it to the next phase. And sometimes you do need someone with a level of expertise that you don't have. And I said this about this when I did the story about myself. is that you want somebody that has been there or done it or been around it enough. They can be able to shed insight to tell you, okay, if you take this direction, you're going to go the longer way. If you make a left here and make a right here, it's going to take you to a highway that's going to get you there in half the time, and you're going to have less snares, you're going to have less traps, you're going to have less detours and things that are going to detour your focus and all that, and it's going to get you there quicker. And so this is why a consultant is one of the highest paid industries it is, because people have a level of expertise that people are willing to pay to get that wealth of information. So that's amazing. Definitely applaud you on making that happen. Now, my last and final question that I'm going to ask you, and this is something that I ask all of my guests that come on Legacy Builder series, is when it's time for you to ascend on to glory. Hallelujah. What is the type of legacy, or what is it, or what legacy do you want to leave behind, or what is it that you want to be known for when you leave this earth?
What I want to be known for is my passion for helping people, putting yourself to the side to look out for somebody else. You know, the scripture talks about love thy neighbor as thyself. So my legacy that I want to leave behind is to teach people and show people that you can put yourself to the side and really care for somebody else with no ill will, with no conditions, and take away all conditions away from building that relationship or building that bond. Because so many times we always place conditions on a relationship. We place conditions on things, but being able to love past those conditions is, I love you just because, I'll do this for you just because. So I want people to understand that just because part, that's the legacy I want to leave behind. Just because I love you, just because God has placed you in my life, I want to be a blessing to you. And then also that, learn everything that you can. You're never too old to learn something new. Pick up a book, read. We got these phones and we keep these things in our hand 24/7. But I'll go through there and I'll read an article, read an ebook or something, and just gain knowledge, because knowledge is wealth. Knowledge is wealth. And one thing they used to say about African Americans, if you want to hide something from them, put it in a book. Well, with Gary Bailey, you put it in a book, you better hope I don't find it.
I'm going to find it. Indeed. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I want to leave behind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great. Wow. It's really amazing to hear your thought process and how you think and how evolved you have become, and, to just have this moment of sit down. We've had our individual conversations, but, there's some more things that I've learned about you that I didn't know about you through this interview. And, I pray that every door swings off the hinges for you. Every connection that you need to have, it comes to you. Every favor be accessibility to you, because of what you just said, is that you want to help other people, and that it's going to overflow out of your hands into other people. And so I gave an example of when God says, I'm going to do exceedingly above all what you can ask or think, and then he says, give and I'll give it back to you, press down, shake it together, and run it over. And I'm going to use this cup as an example of being you, that as you are giving, he's putting it in, and whatever he's putting in, he's pressing it down, then shaking it together, and then he's constantly filling it up, and then he's pressing it down, shaking it together, and then filling it up, so that it gets to the point that it overflows. What the concept of that is that you will never be empty.
That's right.
Because you're giving out of your overflow. You're giving out of whatever comes over the other side of the cup, and that's what you're pouring into other people's lives. So that means that you will never see lack, and that's what I'm praying for you, that as you go forward in your endeavors, that doors, like I said, swing off the hinges. Matter of fact, there is no doors. There is no hinges. That is just open gateways to you to get directly to what it is that you want to do. Go after it, achieve it. I'm godly proud of you, and continue to build legacy, continue to impart into people's lives to continue to build legacy and to inspire others, to inspire your family, to inspire your mother. Definitely give her my love, give her a big kiss on her forehead for me when you see her. And just continue to inspire, because I'm telling you, you're going to see it pay off. You're already seeing it pay off, but this is just only the mere beginning of your legacy being built. This is just the beginning. And what you're going to leave behind is going to be like a well in the middle of a city. People are going to be able to draw from, and some are going to draw from it and keep passing, and some people are going to set up residence around it and draw from it because of the wealth of wisdom and the wealth of knowledge that you have. So I applaud you, my friend. I applaud you and what you're doing.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Anytime. So thank you guys for coming on, for watching the Legacy Builder series. If you missed it, go back and watch it from the beginning. It is going to be available on all of the Facebook platforms as well as on YouTube. I'm not going to take it down, so you don't have to worry about that. It is going to be available access to you, because there was a wealth of information that has been shared on tonight that's really going to inspire you to pursue after and to go after it, be fearless, and to accomplish it. And it's just so interesting. I didn't know that what I was going to share in the beginning of this broadcast had any connection to my brother's story, and interesting that he's tearing down barriers. He's not allowing anything to stop him. So go after it, and you can achieve it. And I guarantee you, if at first you don't succeed, keep trying. Keep trying, and it's going to come forth. It's going to come forth. And if it don't come forth in the way that you want it to come forth, I guarantee you it's going to be the bridge or the connection to the thing that you are meant to accomplish. So thank you guys for coming on. I'm going to share this this inspirational message, because it's just been something that I've been sharing before we get out of here, and let this be the thing to inspire you to move forward. Stay tuned.
Every morning, I rise. My feet touch the floor. I'm prepared for war, prepared to grow, ready for more. Average will never live in me. I'll show all you doubts. I will fight. I will win. You will see. I'm ready to give all I have. I was born ready, ready to contribute, ready to create, ready to grow. Can't stop, won't slow. Greatness was never achieved by those who took the easy road. I flicked that switch, turned on beast mode. I know I must work. I know I must push. I know I must sacrifice. I will work. I will push. I will sacrifice. Never will I take advantage. I add value to all. I give my all for the benefit of all. I'll never take advantage. I'll never drop the ball. I'll lead with integrity. I will stand tall. My legacy is on the line. My pride is on the line. My integrity is on the line. My life is on the line. Never will I settle for less than I can be. Average will never, ever live in me. It's what I fear the most, being like the rest. I will not rest until I'm better than the very best. Until I'm better than yesterday. Then I'll catch my breath, recharge, and go again. Go harder, learn more, grow more, so I can give more, so I can be proud, so I can be proud of what I've become. Proud because I've always given my all. Whether I lost or won, I kept going. I showed heart. I showed courage. I showed what I was made of. That's why I'm proud. I did it my way, not the easy way. My way. I didn't listen to others, my father or mother. I did what's best for me. I worked for it. I fought for it. I created my own legacy.
Thank you for viewing the Legacy Builders series. Tune in July through August, Mondays and/or Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with special guest panelists to appear. Want to be a guest or a sponsor? Send your request via email to legacybuilderstv@gmail.com. Till next time, go forth and build legacy.